Okay. Hi guys, I hope that you can see me okay. Um, I'm trying something different because the last couple times that I tried to film this, it just wasn't working well. My phone super full, but anyways, that doesn't matter. But we're reading The Vein of Gold again. Um, and I am starting off on page 22. We're still in the section called Setting Out, and this one is Clusters, Your Traveling Companions. Okay. This pilgrimage will work perfectly well for you if you undertake to do it alone. It is my experience, however, that you might find it more enjoyable to have traveling companions. I call such a group of kindred souls a creative cluster. Now, what do I mean by creative cluster? I mean a group of people who are interested in supporting each other's creativity by banding together and undertaking this journey as a group. There does not need to be any leader or facilitator, although there can be. See the appendix at the end of the book for guidelines. A cluster can be as small as two people or as large as you wish. The main thing to remember about cluster work is that it is intended to be supportive, not competitive, and that it is based on sharing actual work with the tools, the solution, instead of merely griping about the obstacle, the problem. It is a way of sharing experience and staying on the trail. In terms of choosing cluster mates, all that is required is that you find someone to play with you. That someone or someones should be positive and reliable. They should be also they should also be committed to expanding their own creative potential, not just fixing you up. Remember that a cluster is a circle of equals joined together for a common cause to help each other recover from creative discouragement. I like to call cluster mates believing mirrors. They mirror back a belief in your creative unfolding. It is an important function of a creative cluster to remind us that creativity is an act of the soul, an expansion and extension of divine creative force, and not just some ego trip we are indulging in. In Chicago, a cluster that I led years ago still gathers regularly every Tuesday night. What they do on Tuesdays nights is continue to teach and expand and support each other. In this way, Maureen is cheered on to rewrite her script about World War II women in aviation. Jenny gets enthusiasm for her television talkathon shows. Pam receives feedback about her theatrical career. Elise gets a cheering section for her books. Now, as it happens, this cluster is made up primarily of writers, but a cluster can and often should be more multicolored than that. You don't have to be a declared artist to start a cluster or join one. You simply need to have a desire to try being more creative. When I asked some recent students what they found most valuable about clusters, their response varied, although all without exception agreed they were valuable. Kathy told me clusters were valuable because sharing experience took the skeletons out of the closet and they didn't rattle quite as loudly. It brought compassion and empathy. Joan felt clusters are awesome and enlightening. They reminded me of many things I had forgotten. Melissa said quietly, they created an opening space. The intimacy was in most cases incredible. Andrew observed clusters affirm the humanness in all of us, yet acknowledge our individuality. There is a decade old 12-step program, Arts Anonymous, which has been forming its own creative clusters and generating powerful support in literature. They are headquartered in New York, and many people in Arts Anonymous find that the tools of their program work well with the tools of the Artist Way in this book. Task Cluster List. Make a list of people with whom you could form a creative cluster. Although geographic proximity is nice, it's not always a prerequisite. Clusters have worked by phone and even by letter in England. They seem to have begun chiefly that way. Once you have your potential cluster list in hand, you may want to move on to contacting people and actually setting up a cluster. If if so, you would plan to meet once a week. Again, be sure to see the appendix at the back of the book for cluster guidelines. If not, simply save your cluster list and remember that you can Phone the people on it if you find at any point in the process of this book you need a little cheering on. In fact, it would be my suggestion that you phone one or two of your cluster lists to specifically ask them if they would serve as that sort of support for you. A pilgrimage, after all, is a strenuous undertaking, one in which companionship and support may be pivotal. My longtime teaching partner, Mary Bryan, twice ran the grueling Chicago Marathon. Both times he felt his capacity to successfully finish was owed in part to the loyal support of his friends who showed up near races in and cheered his every exhausted step. As for myself, I work through a book, play, or screenplay. I often alert my friends, prayers are welcome. I'm in the home stretch. Help, send good thoughts. Their positive energies function as booster rockets for my own. Please use your clusters list in the same way. Okay, so that was the end of that section. I'm going to go back and read the quotes that are on the side. I accept the divine presence as now bountifully expressing peace and harmony in my life. Ernest Holmes. We did not all come over on the same ship, but we are all in the same boat. Bernard Baruch. Invent your world. Surround yourself with people, colors, sounds, and work that nourish you. Sark. Grow old with me. The best is yet to be. Robert Browning. It is extraordinary how extraordinary the person is. George F. Will. Okay, well, thanks so much for watching and bye for now.